Hi, this is Ned Siegfried from Siegfried & Jensen. As proud sponsors of BeliefCast, we hope you are inspired by Todd's weekly podcasts, which contain so many courageous stories of recovery and personal growth. Remember, it's not what happened in the past that matters, it's what happens in the future. We invite you all to work hard and be optimistic about your future. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Inspires BeliefCast. Thank you for tuning in. I can't thank you guys enough for believing in me. I want you guys to know how much I love and appreciate your support. We have helped so many people because of these amazing stories that have come on. And I also need to give a shout out to our sponsors, Siegfried & Jensen. Thank you for believing in me. Wasatch Recovery, Veracity Networks. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank all the previous guests. Your stories of overcoming and the trials and tribulations you guys have gone through and you're willing to share is amazing. And today's no different. I'm so excited. This is amazing. This is our 200th episode. And today we're joined by Scott O'Neill. He is the CEO of Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, which includes the Philadelphia 76ers, the New Jersey Devils hockey team. This guy's amazing. He's also the author of Be Where Your Feet Are, and that's going to come out on June 1st. And it's 7 principles that keep you present, grounding, and thriving. And he's married to his beautiful wife, Lisa, has 3 daughters, right? Is that correct?
That's right.
And so, Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
200 episodes. Are you kidding me? Did you think you were going to hit 200 when you first started?
You know, that I didn't, honestly. It's kind of a funny, quick story. When I started doing this 4 years ago, I bought a $99 starter kit on Amazon. It was a little cheap mic and a little tuner.
I can tell your listeners that it's not a cheap mic anymore. I mean, this is a full-on production studio now.
Thank you so much. No, and yeah, it's been quite the journey, and I'm grateful for people like you who are willing to come on and share your story. And I don't say this lightly. I think your story is going to save someone's life today, because I have had people reach out who are suicidal, depressed, anxious, and they hear these stories of people who've been through a lot and how they've overcome it. And so, Scott, I really do believe that your words are going to be so inspiring to so many people today.
Well, that's nice and humbling to hear. I have an organization, a big organization of 2,000 people or so. Wow. And the average age is about 26.
Right. And
we are wrestling with some of the most intense anxiety right now and mental challenges, mental wellness challenges. And so I spend a lot of my time when I'm talking to my team about my mini formula for mental health and wellness. And it's, I think it's the next epidemic. If it's not already here, the next 5 years, we will experience issues and challenges on the mental wellness part that we can barely scratch the surface of now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the clients that are reaching out to me, it's like the lack of connection, feeling isolated, and the anxiety and the depression's just off the charts with so many people, and especially these younger kids who, because of the pandemic, haven't been able to go to school and things like that. And so it's interesting that you're seeing that even in your organization and the people that you deal with.
It is, and I oftentimes like to talk about doing something for your mind, something for your body, and something for your soul every day.
Yeah.
And I think the mind is the easiest part. It's the one we let go because we get on the treadmill and we get home from work or we get from school and we're quote unquote tired.
Yeah.
And so we forget to carve out time to learn something outside of what our current job is. And that's what I push on with my team. It's like, you can read all the sports business stuff in the world. You can read all the sports pages stuff in the world. I want you to tell me about a new technology you're reading about. I want you to tell me about something in the geopolitical world that you're learning about. Or I want you to tell me something in history that's interesting to you, something different.
Something different.
And the body, you've got to exercise. I know it sounds so simple, but it's chemically and medically proven. Like, get the heart rate going 20 minutes a day and go.
Get up and move.
And for me, I love a good hoop run. That was knocked out during COVID. So I'm on a Peloton bike. Yeah. And I never thought I'd ride a bike.
Right.
But 45 minutes a day, I come up, wring my shirt out. I'm so sweaty. But I do it. I just, I think that you have to do it. And the soul, for me at work, I know you have an audience that's very faith-based, and that's wonderful. At work, sometimes in the corporate world, it's challenging to talk about your soul.
Right.
And so the way I often lead it and talk about it is I say, look, scriptures and prayer work for me. Okay.
Right.
And I'm not advocating that anybody read scriptures or prayer. I think you should, but I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Right.
But you have to find stillness in your life.
Mm.
And however you carve that stillness out, whether you meditate or do yoga or my favorite thing, I sit outside and listen to the birds chirp in the morning for 5 minutes of just nothing and stillness.
Yeah. Wow, that stillness is so powerful. You know, you talk about these things. I want to share this because I listened to one of your keynote speeches for a mutual friend of ours, Nate Williams.
Nate the Great,
and his beautiful wife Whitney, and they helped get this lined up, by the way. So shout out to them. Love you guys. But you said you did something, and this is what I wanted to wait to share with you. You told the whole audience, hey, your very first thing you said, everyone take out your phones and text your mom. And you go, I'll give you 60 seconds. Just write her just a quick little note. Tell her how much you appreciate her. And as I'm watching this, I thought, I'm going to do it. So I send this text to my mom. Okay. I just said, Mom, I just want you to know I was thinking of you today, and not a day goes by that I don't appreciate all you've done for me. And I get emotional about this because, it's been a minute since I've done that. It was a good reminder that you said that, Scott. And then I kid you not, I get a text that evening. It's about, 2 feet long text stream. She goes, Todd, I am crying right now. Thank you so much. I needed to hear that. I'm so proud of you, Todd. And the list, it just went on. And so I want to thank you for that beautiful reminder.
That's so good. The gratitude is the fourth part of that plan of mind, body, soul. And I think anyone who's ever been through life and the rough side of life, the potholes, the trips, the falls, the spills, the crashes, gratitude is the one thing that, gratitude and serving others are the two things that pull me out typically. And man, our mom's the most underappreciated class of people in the history of mankind.
For sure.
And they do so much and want so little.
Yeah.
And, I remember the first time I did that, my mom sent me a note and she just said, "Are you okay?" And I thought, oh man, I am better than this.
Yeah.
Because I love my mom. I appreciate my mom. She taught me so much of what I am and who I am. I got so much from her. And then I thought, man, is there an application for that at work? Can I be more grateful? Can I show appreciation for people that work with me? Of course I can.
Right.
How about for people who help me? We all stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Who came before us.
Oh, absolutely.
How many notes have you sent to an old coach, an old teacher, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, who you struggle with a little bit? Yeah. We all have. Family's complicated, okay? It's just as complicated. And I would love for everything in life to be just like the movies or the Brady Bunch when I was growing up, and how everything just seems to work out. Well, you know what? Life is messy, and it doesn't all just work out.
Right.
And it's not happily ever after all the time, but it's okay because I always find in those moments when we trip and fall that we learn more. So all we have to do, or not all we have to do, one thing we can do every day is just write down a few things we're grateful for. And then if someone pops in your head and gives you that prompting, send them a note. Here's one tool I use, which I think is great. Yeah. So I have my phone set up for photo stream. I have no idea how to do it. My daughter did it for me. Okay. But every day I get 5 or 6 photos automatically sent into my phone, into the front of my phone, like memory of. Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
And if any person is in that photo, I send it to them.
Man, I love
And so
that.
if it's my mom, I say, "Hey, Mom, this was in my photo stream today. Just want to tell you, I was thinking about you. I love you." If it's somebody from work, somebody I used to work with, a friend from high school, an old teammate, it doesn't matter, a neighbor. Yeah. You say, "Hey, this popped up my photo stream." What a wonderful way to connect. And what I'm finding as we kind of emerge and kind of create this new normal out of COVID is like, we are just craving connection in people. Right. And when you get that prompting, it is for a reason. Man. It is. And it's telling you it's the world. It's Heavenly Father. It's karma. It's the universe. However you see the world and the higher power. Right. Saying to you, giving you a little nudge and saying, "Hey, okay, I'm going to just put it in your ear and you can do whatever you want with it." And what I want to do with it, I want it forward. I want it out. Wow.
I love that. I think gratitude's the most powerful stimulant on the planet. It truly does take you out of whatever you're going through. You can see things differently. Like, again, when I got that text back from my mom, I was just like, wow, I had just this overwhelming feeling of love and gratitude for her, but not just her, but just for people in general. It was amazing how it kind of spilled over to everything else in my life.
Yeah, no, your cup spilled over for sure. Yeah. But think about how long did it take you? A minute? 90 seconds.
Yeah, even less than that, actually. Yeah.
And like we're I don't know. We have this. I don't want to brag on one of my daughters right now, but she's 14 years old. Her name's Eliza, and she's got her own challenges as a 14-year-old girl, and she's trying to figure it out and who she is, and struggling with a whole host of issues and things like we all did when we were 14.
Right.
She writes down 14 things she is grateful for every night before she goes to bed, no matter what. And she's OCD, so it has to happen, or she's not sleeping.
Right.
Which
still,
I absolutely love.
Yeah.
She's never repeated the same thing. And I thought, man, what an example. And I don't have that kind of discipline. But with the other thing she does, which I absolutely think is amazing, is she has a positive thoughts clicker.
Oh, okay.
So if you go back past her, she does not sleep much. She's like her dad.
Right.
And so if you walk by her room at midnight, you'll hear click, 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 click. And I think that is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, man, these triggers she has. She knows, because she is not predisposed to positive thinking. She is not predisposed to gratitude. She's not predisposed to happiness. She just, everybody wakes up differently. We're all different.
We're different. Yeah.
All my 3 children are so different.
Yeah,
my wife
sure.
and I are different. We're different.
Yeah.
And she, whether she just consciously knows that or subconsciously, she's putting it out in the universe. Like, I know how the brain works. I don't think she can consciously do this, but she knows that she needs to feed the beast.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we could all feed the beast a little bit more.
Yeah.
How life would be.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. So, you're a very confident guy. You're very passionate about what you do. You have a lot of energy, and you're very, someone who believes in himself. I've done a lot of homework on you, and it's been amazing. I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for that as well. Talk a little bit about, where did you grow up, and then what was your childhood like? Were you always kind of like this as a kid, or is this something your parents taught you? Share us a little bit about that.
Sure. So way back, I grew up. I was born in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Which is a really tough town in Massachusetts, and then moved to Akron, Ohio, which is even worse.
Right. Yeah.
Only to be subsided to head over to Newburgh, New York, which is one of it was recently voted one of the 10 worst places in America to raise your family, which is exciting. Yeah. I sent that to my mother as well and told her thank you.
Right.
But we grew up in a home. My dad got his PhD when I was very young, and my mom now has her PhD. She got it when she was 65, but she had her master's in child education. So it was a laboratory when we grew up, and so there were 5 of us born in 6 years. I'm an Irish twin to my older brother.
Okay.
So we were all about the same age, 4 boys, and then I have his sister who's the youngest, 5 years younger than I am. And so it was an adventure and a party all day.
Right.
long.
I bet.
My folks worked very hard. My mom started out in daycare. We started out as a food stamp kid, so we didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up. Had a lot of puffed rice and powdered milk. And for those of you who struggled in the 70s, that's what you ate.
Oh, yeah.
And pancakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on occasion. And we didn't have a lot of physical things. And we had a lot of love in the house. And we only had 3 rules for the time time I can remember until the time I left school.
Really?
3 rules were, don't hurt each other, don't hurt your mother, no girls in the bedroom.
That was it.
Think about that. No curfew, nothing.
Huh.
And it's a very much a simpler time.
Yeah. Right.
But we understood my dad was, by the time I was, I think 12, my dad had left his post as dean of students of a small college and started a consulting firm where he was teaching teamwork to the local police department. And that turned into a real big business.
Yeah.
But we competed in everything we did. We couldn't get to the car without racing to it. So we were a very competitive family.
Yeah.
And ended in a few bloody noses now and again. We played sports constantly. I remember at one point, I think I was 12, I was in 5 basketball leagues. I know you're a big basketball player.
Yeah, for sure.
And so there was a lot of basketball in our house. And my dad competed. But it was a house full of love. It was a house where my parents believed in consequences, natural consequences.
Right.
So we would make a mistake, and they would say, "Okay, let's talk about the consequences." And sometimes they would enforce them, but more likely, they would encourage us to clean it up themselves. I remember.
Yeah, take care of it.
Yeah. So we had some pretty big. We were not the easiest kids. I was the most difficult of the kids.
Really?
So my parents did not know what to do with me. And I was always a good kid, if you will. I always worked hard in school and kept pretty straight and narrow. But they sent me to a priest. They sent me to a counselor. They cut off sugar. I just had a lot of like energy and angst, and I would throw.
Yeah.
I mean, I threw tantrums until I was 17 years old.
Really?
Yeah, like lose my mind tantrums.
Wow.
Like throwing things, fighting. You know.
Okay.
And so I had, and sports was my escape from the world. It still is. And so I'm still on a hardcore roller coaster. So I do not, and my wife Lisa, who you mentioned before, she's nice and steady Eddie, and she's tough, and she's amazing. She's just steady and a good counterbalance to my chaos. But I had it. I made life really hard for myself, and my folks went from having nothing to being in a country club. So my folks, their business took off. My mom left. She built 2 schools, one for kids with special needs and one for just kind of early age education. She left to go work with my dad, and that's when their business took off. My mom's a star.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so then they went from this little mom and pop shop to they're training Xerox and ADP and Texaco, McDonald's all around the world. And that took them out of our house, you know? So we somewhat raised each other, you know, in our teen years.
Yeah.
And sports always kept us, you know, kind of clean, and, you know, but we weren't above a little mischief here and there. And we borrowed a few things.
Borrowed.
You know, we snuck out a few times. We made our fair share of mistakes. But generally kept it pretty on the straight and narrow. So it was a wonderful way to grow up.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is just love.
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you guys were really hardworking, and you probably learned that seeing your parents, how hard they were working. Yeah. Because, I mean, people who know you, you know, Scott works hard.
Yeah, no, we get after it.
You get after it.
And then my folks lost everything again. So it was kind of a strange turn of events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left for college, so it didn't impact me as much. But my younger brother and sister felt the brunt of that pretty badly. But to go from nothing to something to nothing, just financially, I'm just talking about just material goods, which you learn very quickly in life. When you get older, it's a lot less impactful. But and that happened because my dad let ego get in the way of business and good decisions. And I remember when it went down, I remember sitting at the table. I know the deal. I know what happened. And my mom saying, and they very rarely argued, and her saying, "Michael, stop. You're going to take this whole family down with you." And he said, you know, and he was so focused on being right, and he was. And he was a lot less focused on being effective, which he wasn't.
Okay.
And he risked everything and took the whole family down financially.
Wow. How old were you at that age?
At that dinner, I was 17. And it took 3 years for it to unravel, almost 4, to where, you know, my dad, who passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately died without a nickel. Man. Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. But what a lesson, you know, and you talk about that was really hard at that age to see it and experience it, and see my mom and dad, it split their marriage up after 30 years or so. So it was a funky time, but think of how differently I go through the world. Exactly. And what a gift to grow up with no money. Yeah. And you're like, because when you're young, you have no idea what money is anyway. Yeah. Because the only thing you know are the people in your neighborhood. Right. I didn't know people took vacations. Right. I didn't even know people took an airplane to go places. You know, if we went to Florida once a year to see my grandparents who had a house there. We'd drive down, 24 hours down, 24 hours back. Man. And so and we were all piled in the car. Like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know that puffed rice wasn't for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had no idea. And so like that was fun, but like the gift is that you're getting range. Yeah. And so now I fast forward to now, and what an advantage. Yeah. Like, cause you know, I have ushers and ticket takers and security guards, and they're my coworkers. Yeah. And what they do, they influence the experience of an event a lot more than I do. Wow. Right. They're touching hands on. So, so I think the gift of that range is great. And a gift of losing money, well, I don't want to do it again, although I did later on in my life. You learn a lot of lessons there too. Save your money, invest your money, protect your money, all that kind of stuff that I would not have known.
Boy, I love that. I talk a lot about with my clients and stuff that life happens for us. You know, like I always say, like, your addiction is your wake-up call to your greatness. Adversity is your wake-up call to your greatness. And listening to your story up to this point so far, I mean, you know, it was good, love, you talked about all that stuff, but boy, there was some adversity along the way, but you're looking at it and you're going, man, you wouldn't trade it.
No,
right?
I wouldn't trade it. But how do you deal with this? Because I remember as a kid, when my parents were sending me off to a counselor and then a priest, like, I just remember feeling, and my older brother would torment me. and say, "'Cause you're crazy," and all this stuff. And it was hard for me because I was a little bit unbalanced, and so so I felt it. And how do you get your clients? I don't know is it called clients?
I call them clients or clients,
friends,
friends.
How do you get them to be okay with being okay?
Yeah, that's a good one because, and we were talking about that quote on my wall here, like the most delightful surprise in life is to suddenly recognize there's nothing wrong with you. And what typically is happening with my clients is they're telling themselves a story, something's wrong with me.
Right.
But yeah, we might have bad behaviors and things that we do need to change. But ultimately, if we scrape that away to your core, you're good, And so every client's a little different. But again, it goes back to, hey, you're going through this difficult time because it's trying to teach you something. And once you learn that, that's when you're going to blossom. That's when you're going to go, wow, I'm so glad. One of my heroes is J.C. Dugard, who was kidnapped at 11 and raped in a shed for 18 years. And she has one of my favorite lines of all time. She says, "I choose not to wallow in self-pity."
That's brilliant.
And she sees it as, hey, yeah, I would never wish that on anyone. I don't want to go through it again, but it happened. Nothing I can do about it. But look what I get to do now. She helps women all over the world who've been abused now, millions of them. She wouldn't be in that position.
Right.
And so I try to let them see
that.
how that's, it's going to unfold in their life, but they may not see it in the moment.
Yeah, my dad was an amazing man who before he unraveled. I mean, he was still an amazing man in different ways, but
for sure.
But he had special gifts, incredible charisma, and incredible in front of people. Made people kind of light up when he walked in a room, and he used to, I used to call it voodoo when I was younger. He's like, he's trying all this voodoo stuff on me, and he had us like pressing our fingers on stress cards and all. It's kind of way back,
right? Yeah, sure.
But not a day went by when he didn't tell me how special I was, how wonderful I was. And he used to always say, like, you can do anything in the world you want to accomplish. Like, there's nothing you can't accomplish. And hearing that when you need it, you need that when you're 15 and trying to figure it out, or, when you just threw another tantrum in front of like 15 of your older brother's friends, or when you, I don't know, do something that just brings you that pain that you don't, when you're a teenager, you have. And I don't know, like it's not magic, it's not, I have a good friend I work with. He says, his name is Jake Reynolds. He's actually my brother-in-law. He says, speak it into existence, Scott. Just speak it into existence. And there is some science to that. Okay?
Oh no, I believe that.
So you speak it hits your subconscious. I wholeheartedly believe it. But hearing it from my dad every day, definitely made an impact on how I see the world. And I try to leverage that with my daughters. And I try to tell them every day how incredible they are.
Yeah.
And it's a fragile world. Social media has like taken all the fragility that you've had as a teenager and all the insecurities you ever had growing up and put like a 10 to 20x on it.
Right.
And so, it's not how the life works. It's not how the world works. But you know what? You don't want to see your 4 best girlfriends together making a TikTok video and you're not there.
And you're not there.
Even the strongest person would have some bad feeling.
They'd be like, why wasn't I invited? Yeah. Why am I not included?
And so it's hard.
Yeah.
And so I think, as a dad, I just want my kids to grow up confident and in a different way, not in the way that I was or have been, but
right.
Have an older daughter who's in school now and she's doing ridiculously well in grades, and she had never done well in grades.
Right.
Her grades in high school, I agreed after her freshman year, I was like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's not look at grades anymore. I just want to know you're working hard. That's all I care about.
Wow.
And later on, she found out she had a learning disability, which is really not good as a dad to find out when your daughter is 20 that you hadn't dealt with that beforehand. But anyway, another one of my great moments. But
sure.
My biggest fear for her was that she would grow up thinking she wasn't smart. She's brilliantly smart. Different. She's not meant to sit in a classroom and take a test. She's meant to go to Zambia and serve orphans, or she's meant to be in a Syrian refugee camp in Athens, both things she's done, and at a really high level. And you're like, now I can't do that stuff that she's doing. I can't. I don't have the gear. I don't have I cannot do what she does. And she can't do what I just, but isn't that okay?
Yeah.
But the world is telling us, but you got a bad grade. Your board scores are bad. You're not smart. And you know what? it's like we got to change the way, we have to change our filter. We have to change the way we look at success. We have to change the way we look at education in the world, because there are incredible people in the world, okay, doing amazing things.
Yeah.
You know,
wow. I love that.
Miguel Cervantes, who wrote Don Quixote, is one of my favorite stories. Like, he was in debtor's prison, lost the use of one arm, and he writes one of the greatest books ever written.
Right.
At 57.
Man.
You know, and having gone through, never accomplished anything in life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and like, you can start today. It's like the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago. Second best day, today.
Today.
Like, that's what we're about. That's what we have to be about. And it's like, as a parent, as a leader, as a coach, as a mentor, you know, as a manager at work, like, I'm just trying to create an environment where people can be their best selves.
Yeah.
And do I fail? Of course, every day.
Wow.
Do I trip and fall? Yes, I do. Do I make mistakes? Do I say the wrong thing? Of course. But my intentions, I want to keep my intentions pure all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. And with my kids especially, I want them to grow up strong. I want them to grow up tough. And I want them to grow up confident. You know, and if they can, the other stuff's just around the edges.
Exactly. Boy, very well said, Scott. I thank you for sharing that. You know, as you were saying that, I had my mentor years ago told me, he asked me, what's the definition of success? And I gave him some really beautiful answer about, it's this, this, and this, and I have achieved this and all that. And he said, no, he said, the definition is and should be waking up in a good mood.
Ooh, I love that.
He goes, there it is. He goes, you can have all this stuff, but if you're waking up miserable, what's the point? So you talked about your daughter who, maybe she's not meant to be in the classroom, but she goes and helps these orphanages and all these people who are third world poverty. And yet that's her wheelhouse, and she's probably happy doing that. See, that's success in my book.
I totally agree with you.
Isn't that amazing?
It's like finding, but like the work that it takes, in particular for young people, to do the work to identify and find their purpose and then live their purpose. Yeah. That's a huge leap.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah.
And you're distracted all the time.
Yep.
You know, and I love when my daughters say, I'm busy. I'm like, are you? You're busy? Right. From what, your 6 hours of school? From what, TikTok? Like, what is really
Does she know who she's talking to? Right? Does she know who she's talking to? Oh, man. No, this is awesome. So I want to go back to, you said you were struggling with tantrums until about age 17 and they stopped. Did you get help for that, or things just change? Did you change your mindset? What happened?
Yeah, I think I didn't have the luxury to have them anymore.
Okay.
You know, I grew up in a really kind of a sheltered life. I told you, you know, and
okay.
And then when I was pushed off to school, the only thing I had was I was just homesick. You know, which made my friends laugh because they thought it was so funny. Because they're like, "You're the confident one." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know I'm confident. All right, I'm just fragile, confident on the outside." And but I just don't think I had the. But I did. I had plenty of help. I mean, I saw 3 different therapists, and some other, you know, however we might define therapists different these days. But back then they were therapists.
Right. Gotcha.
So
I was just curious. And then, so obviously, I mean, there's so much to talk about here, Scott. You're doing so many great things right now. You know, like I said, you're the CEO of these major, beautiful, you know, organization that you're doing with so many different teams and things like that. What I want to just read this because I think it's important. I want the listeners to hear this. You're one of the most recognized, connected, dynamic executives in sports and entertainment industry today. That says a lot. You have more than 25 years experience leading the NBA, NHL, and the NFL teams and leagues, including, again, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New York Knicks, New Jersey Nets, Philadelphia. I mean, the list goes on, and, you know, New Jersey Devils. And your mission is to build inspiring, socially impactful, and high-performing teams and business organizations that have earned a reputation as the leader of leaders. And this is kind of your wheelhouse now. I mean, you go from, you know, throwing tantrums as a kid, and, you know, but here you are doing all this amazing stuff. How did that transition happen in your life? And I know there's all these things that can go on, and that's a big question, but here you are doing all these amazing things now.
Yeah, no, it's so nice for you to present.
You ever
it
pinch
that way.
yourself and go, my goodness?
All the time, but I think of life so differently than others do. So I have been so blessed with the things I've been able to do and the work. And what I'm wrestling with now, I'm 51 years old. So this is my version of a midlife crisis. I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to be defined by what I do. I want to be defined by who I am and how many people I can impact.
Gotcha.
And that's that's a journey. And I think that the world celebrates the mountain, the top, the summit. And I want to celebrate the climb more, because I think that's where all the learning is. And so where I'm growing as a leader is when we hit the peaks or the summits. I'm not great at getting people around a room and telling them they're amazing and hugging them, because I want the next mountain. I want it now.
Right.
Because that's the rush for me.
Sure.
The rush is the build, the growth. The rush was when we were winning 10 games at the, at 82 at the 76ers, and the world is telling us we don't know what we're talking about, and that we're wrecking the game, and that we're bad people. And that's the rush, is trying to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to take that, grow a business, build a team, build an organization, recruit extraordinary talent? That to me is what wakes me up in the morning. I want to develop the next generation of great leaders, and I want to make a dent in the world. Those are the two things. You talk about waking up happy. When I'm doing those two things, I'm popping out of bed.
Yeah.
It's like run to work, run home. That's my thing. And I
love it.
So the bios make me uncomfortable. Like the stuff you read makes me uncomfortable. And not because it's not that I'm, I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. I'm not, I am confident. I'm not, I wish I had that sort of humility. That's what I aspire to being that humble. But I love what I learned. I love the people I've worked with. I mean, the people I worked with in one of my groups, like someone said this the other day, so it's top of my mind, so I'll tell it to you. And this will sound like I'm patting myself in the back and scratch the whole Mahatma Gandhi aspiration. But I worked at this group at the NBA, and it's a group I recruited. I'll just name a few of them. Chris Hacks is the president of the Sixers, works for me. Donna Daniels, she's the GM of our building, one of the top females in sports. Tom Glick, who's running the president of the Carolina Panthers. Chris Granger is CEO of Illich Sports, which is Tigers and Red Wings. Man. Dan Reed is the president of Facebook Sports and Entertainment platform. And Amy Brooks is president of the NBA. That was by the way, there are much more people on the team, and they're doing extraordinary things. I'm like, it was insane. Yeah. And so now I'm either the best recruiter in the world, which I'm not. Okay. The best leader in the world. I'm not. The best manager in the world. Yeah. I'm not. But I do have this ability to attract people who want to do extraordinary things. Right. And that's fun. Yeah. And so that's what I do, or that's what, if I'm looking for something like, okay, you did this really well. I can recruit teams and create an environment where they want to succeed. And I have an ability to get them to play together as a team and put their egos and personal agendas aside and do extraordinary work. That's what I'm proud of. That's what I love to do. And that's just one example of one team, because this team I have now, I think, is more talented than that team. They're just a lot younger, so you'll read about them in 12 years. Right. But man, that is what gets me out of bed, and that's what is inspiring. And if you can, as a leader or a coach or a mentor or a teacher or a therapist or a counselor or whatever role you play, we have these special opportunities to impact and influence people. Yeah. And it's like the older you get, the more. I had this executive coach once. That's the therapist for executives. It's called executive coaches. And her name was Tricia Nadoff. And my mom, I was at Madison Square Garden. I was the president of Madison Square Garden, which is a very intense job. Oh, yeah. And my mom had said, who I always would talk to about work, she's like, you need a coach. I'm going to send Tricia to you. It was really interesting. Yeah. And Tricia's kind of bohemian. And she's tough as nails, and she was hitting me on this. And this is really interesting for hard chargers or people want to take on the world. She's like, man, you're in the warrior phase. I was like, that's right. She's like, Scott, you're running a company. I was like, yes. It's Madison Square Garden. This is the world's most famous arena. This is, in my business, it's as close to the top as I'm going to ever be.
Absolutely, yeah.
And she's like, right. You need to move on to the sage phase. I'm like, but I don't want to be in the sage phase. I want to be a warrior. Yeah. She's like, but you can't lead an organization as a warrior. I was like, well, I'm leading an organization now. And so that's that is me. I'm just articulating. That's how I like to debate. I love to battle. I love to fight. I love to sell. I love to close. I love deals. I love action. And it's funny because that was 10, 12 years ago, actually now, 13 years ago. And so as I look at it now, it's like, I knew what she was saying then. I didn't know what she was saying then. I know exactly what she was saying now, because now being sage is about finding success in other successes. It has nothing to do with my success.
Yeah.
And it's creating an environment where others can thrive and have the platform. And it's instead of taking that interview, you're teeing up your next guy or next woman to do it.
Gotcha.
And it's to try to create a platform where people start to thrive, and your joy comes from a different place.
Yeah.
But man, if I knew that 13 years ago,
I know
I'd be so different. But I think some of us have to just walk through the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked about your personal journey several times about how you had to walk through the fire.
For sure.
And like I'd be interested in hearing your answers, but you can't tell me that you wouldn't be as effective in your job now if you hadn't gone through that fire.
Oh, absolutely.
Could you even do your job?
No, I couldn't do it. You know, it's interesting you say that too, Scott. I'll say this often when I do speaking events and stuff. I'll always say, if I could go back to my addiction, that was 31 years ago. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
If I could go back to it and say something to it, like, hey, addiction, you know what I would say to it? I'd say, thank you. And I'd give it a big hug, because if I hadn't gone through that, I actually wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now, Scott. So I am grateful for that.
Right.
And I wouldn't be the same.
I hope one of your listeners can actually take in that perspective, because that is the richest, most incredible perspective on gratitude and understanding love and life that I've ever heard. That's incredible.
Wow. Thank you. Well, and again, you really, I love your passion, and you talk about you attract these people who are just amazing. You read the list off. These are amazing people, but like attracts like. So if you weren't amazing yourself, and when I say amazing, it's not about your bio. And I get what, when someone reads my bio too, I'm just like, ugh. I'm just a guy. Right? I'm just a dude going to come talk to you. But again, you live your life in such a way that you do attract the same type of person, and that's good. It's good. It's all good. And so that's what I got out of that. Is it doesn't surprise me you're attracting those people.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Oh man, I want to talk about your book, Be Where Your Feet Are. Okay. It's a book that's going to come out on June 1st, and you talk about 7 principles to keep you present, grounded, and thriving. Talk about, first of all, why did you write this book? You got so much going on. I know why you wrote the book, but let's let our listeners know, what was the purpose behind this?
Right. So I talked a little bit about wanting to make a dent in the world. And if you can imagine, if you can impact one person, you said, hey, maybe you can help one person on this podcast.
Yes.
And that's how I see life. Okay. I whenever I give a talk, and talks are, it's a lot. I got my family and I have my work.
Right.
And someone wants you to go speak, and they're your friend, and you're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And anything church related, Lisa and I decided a long time ago that we just say yes, no matter what. It could be anywhere. We're speaking this weekend, which is the most impractical thing. It's amazing. It's fine. I don't mean to.
No, that's awesome.
It's at HEFY. It's in Page, Arizona. We can barely. I don't even know how we're going to get there, and it's 6 hours away. And I was like, yes, we don't hesitate. Okay, so there are things you just do. You do for things for your church or whatever is important to you in your life, and you do for friends. You'll never say no. But then when you're up there, before I go up there, I always remember, okay, let's just connect with one person. If I can move one person to do one thing differently, this is a win, and it's worth the time. And so that's my philosophy scope. And then I had a bunch of things happen to me right in a row. And David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA, who was a mentor of mine for a long time, passed away. Yeah. Then my dad died, same age, and my dad was suffering from dementia and Parkinson's, and I was praying for him to die. And then my best friend took his own life. And I had all these things happen.
So sorry to hear that.
Yes. I know you had a similar experience, and it's awful. But I couldn't process it. I was speaking at the funeral, and I'm looking out, and Nicole, Will Carden's my friend, and his wife Nicole is there, and their 5 incredible children are there. Yeah. And as I'm looking down, I couldn't keep it together. I was a complete mess. And I just kept thinking, like, Will will never be able to share a lesson with them. Will won't be able to share his light with anybody. Think of all the incredible things he could have shared. And that's the only thing that's going through my head as I'm trying to get through this talk. Man. And for those LDS listeners, Elder Ballard and Elder Anderson both spoke at that funeral. And so I can tell you a really uncomfortable story, but it is not great to be speaking around those guys. They're too great. They're the most wonderful, loving people in the entire world. Yeah. But talk about a humbling experience. Holy mackerel. Oh my goodness. And but anyway, I got out of there and I fell into like heavy grief, and I didn't even know what grief was. I'd read about it, heard about it, knew the word, but I didn't understand that I could be in a meeting and someone would say something completely unrelated to me or Will, and I would just break into tears and walk out of the room.
Man.
And I had trouble focusing. I was tired all the time but couldn't sleep. Then I could sleep all the time and couldn't get up. And so I was in whatever form of grief or depression or whatever mix that was. It was definitely chemically not good for me. And I started to write to heal. And I had been down before, but never like this. I never felt like that, the depths of this before. And what I began to, as I reached out to my friends to walk them through what I was dealing with, or they would reach out to me, I'd say, well, tell me about a time in your life where you had to overcome something really difficult. And these stories came out. And I know this is your purpose. So you have these more than I do, but so you know what I was just discovering.
Absolutely.
Is like Instagram is not life.
Yeah.
And the people who I thought were literally at the top of the world, everything's perfect, like that Lego guy, everything is awesome. Like I love that guy.
Yeah.
But that's not how the world is.
It's not.
And sometimes maybe I was going through life like that and I didn't really understand what, I wasn't as empathetic as I could be, should be, ought to be. And I just started to write. And as I would talk to these people, I would write their stories. And I wrote like Forrest Gump ran. I just wrote and wrote. And then Randall Wright, who's an author and speaker, and he was staying at our house, a good friend of Lisa's and mine, but Lisa's much more closer with him. And he's like, "You need to publish this." And I'm like, "Would you do it with me?" And so we kind of did it together, which was kind of neat. And so he coached me through it and helped me through it. And then I got an agent, and she's like, "This is not a book, but you are." And we got a writer, Michelle Bender, who's amazing, and helped like make it a book. But the purpose, like going back to your core point, was the purpose was to let everybody know, because from the outside, you're like, this guy, look at his job. This is his fancy job. Oh, of course he joins the church and finds his faith at the right time. Oh, look, 3 beautiful children. Oh, 25 years marriage. Like, and all that stuff's true. And I'm happy with my life. Right. I love my life.
Yeah.
But man, if you think success, however you define success, and we can talk about that because I know you defined it before, is linear, you don't understand life.
Right.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
And the lessons all happen in the gaps and the falls. And when you trip and fall and a new door opens when one closes, or that you have miscarriages, or, your parents get divorced, or you lose a job, or you run a company to the ground, or you get fired publicly. Your name's in every New York media. Like, this guy can't do it, And so I had all this stuff and more, plenty of other things happen to me that weren't great in my life. But, I think I wanted the message to be like, something I tell my daughter all the time, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
She's like, what's that? What's okay? Everything is okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay, because we're in the eye of our own hurricanes every day. Okay.
Right.
When things go bad, that's all we see. And all I'm advocating for is that you just pull that lens back a little bit.
Yeah.
And just see yourself as you are and see the world as it is. And so if it's like you crash your car, you fail a test, your boyfriend breaks up with you, or you don't get asked to the prom, or, you got a dysfunctional marriage, or your kid goes off the rails, or whatever those things are that's life for us. That's what life is. Life's messy. It's like, can you just pull that lens back and say, okay, no, this isn't great. I'm not happy my daughter just totaled her car again.
Right.
Okay. I'm not happy my insurance company called and said, I don't want you as a customer, which really happened.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, there has to be some amount of money we can pay. Nope.
No.
Find someone else.
Wow.
So that was the third accident. But all being said, that's fine. You pull back the lens and you just say, okay, how can I see the world as it is? How can I understand like what role this point? Like, it's not everything. How's life? Terrible. No, it's not.
Yeah.
How was school? Terrible. What was terrible at school? Well, this teacher said this to me. I was like, okay, how long was that? Was that 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we letting 2 minutes define 24 hours in a day?
Wow.
We can't do that, right?
Yeah.
But we do.
But we do that
because
all
we're
the
eye
time.
of our own storm.
Yeah.
And things are spiraling around us, and sometimes it's 3 or 4 of these things happen in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easy to endure, but there is some notion of like, hey man, NCAA tournament, survive in advance. There is some notion of that.
Yeah.
And I don't want my life to be about surviving in advance, but are there moments in my life that I knew I needed to survive in advance? Of course.
Right.
And that's what we all have to figure out, when those survive in advance moments are. Let's get through them. Let's move on. Let's get a good night's sleep. Let's figure out what we want to do. Let's have a plan. Let's get a process. Let's call people we love to help us. Let's get the right people on board.
Get the right
let's
people.
change the decisions we need to make to change, and let's go forward.
Yeah.
You know, and that's life.
Man, very well said, Scott. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. So, the book, like we said, will be available on June 1st. Do you have in your mind, granted you want to make an impact on someone's life for sure. You have any other goals with this book? Is there any other things that you want to accomplish with this?
Only superficial ones.
Okay.
You know, and the ones that really matter to me is the one person that will pick this up and write me a note someday and say, hey,
thank you.
I saw the love letter you wrote to your daughter. Because there's a note in there where I went on this retreat with my youngest daughter, Eliza, and we had to write love letters to each other. Okay. And I actually put the love letters in there. It's raw. This book is not a victory lap book. Okay. So this is not like, hey, here's my crown.
Sure.
This is awesome. And I'm awesome. This is not what that is.
Yeah.
This is about like some moments where and so I thought about like, man, what if someone reads this book and just takes out a pen and paper and writes a love letter to their kid or their mom? That's a win. Okay.
That is for sure.
What if there's this other story in the introduction about one of my other daughter, Kira, who I haven't mentioned, who seems to have the wind at her back. Like she's 4.0 student, president of her class, got great testimony and spirituality. Everything she does, she seems to do well. She's one of those kids, like, you're almost like, okay, and she has her fragile moments too, but but she does really well.
I know what you mean though.
Yeah, no, it's funny. All the kids are different. And I was on this retreat with her, and the exercise was this. It was, you've got 30 minutes, and it's the last time you'll ever speak to your daughter again. What are you going to tell her?
Ooh.
Right. And so,
man,
I'll give you my 3 really quickly, but
please.
It's not the point of the story. But my 3 were, oh, by the way, I agonized over this because I had nothing. Like I couldn't function. I couldn't think.
Yeah.
I had 30 minutes to prepare. I had nothing on my notes.
Right.
I'm like, we're going for this walk in the woods in Ohio, backwoods of Ohio, and this thing. And I'm like, uh-oh. But anyway, here's what came to me was family. Okay. Like now we all define family differently. Okay.
Yeah.
And some of us define it as your eternal family. Some of us define it as the people you're living with. Some of us define it as your friends because your family is not around or not special or doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But family. Figure out who the family are in your life and lean in and lean on all the time.
Wow.
And make sure they're important.
Love that.
Second thing you've heard me say today was everything's going to be okay. Everything. Breakups, car crashes, hopefully not a divorce, maybe divorce.
Right.
You're not going to get in the school you want to get to. It's just and everything will be okay. Just pull yourself back. And the third thing was,
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's good. And the third thing was anything, anytime, which is how I sign a lot of my emails now. And it was call, text, FaceTime. I don't care if it's 3 a.m, 5 a.m, midnight.
Wow.
Anything you need from me anytime, I got you.
Wow.
You got me.
I got to write that down.
So from her, so can you imagine if somebody reads this book and calls one of their kids and says, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about 3 things I wanted you to take away before you head to college. And here's what they are. That to me is the win. That's the win. And so I want some of those. I want people to be moved. I don't mean to tell you, I'm just story after story, but
no, you're great. This is awesome.
This friend of mine, Jim Leonard, I work with, he runs our government affairs. Most wonderful guy in the world. And his dad passed away. And he wrote a note because I knew his mom and dad and his wife and daughter. And so he sent me a note and said, hey, thanks for checking in on me. My dad slowly passed away. And he wrote like a cute story about, he's Irish, and there's like an Irish wives' tale where if you open the window, it allows for the soul to exit the room and they can actually pass on. Oh, so he actually opened the window and his dad passed away. So it's kind of a cute story. But then he said, we're going to honor my dad. So once a month, we're going to do something, my family, that represent my dad. And he was a ranger at a park in Montana. So they're going to go to that park. Then once it's going to be simple. Like I'm going to have ice cream, because my dad loved a hot fudge sundae, and we're all going to have hot fudge sundae.
Yeah.
Then there was this favorite pizza joint in Brooklyn, and we're going to drive all the way into Brooklyn, and we're going to have pizza at this pizza joint once a month. And I thought, wow, it's in there. It's like, because what a wonderful way to honor people. Like, what's the best things anyone will ever say about you is at your funeral, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right, does it?
It doesn't.
So what if we took that and we just said, let's go honor my mom while she's alive and do one thing a month with her now.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Right? Can't we do that? Why aren't we doing that?
Right. Yeah. Why do we wait till someone passes?
Right.
My high school basketball coach passed away. This is a few years ago. Went to his funeral. I learned more about this guy. I was like, this guy, whoa, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same feeling. How come I didn't know this before?
Yeah, it's such a good story.
Dang.
I had this cute story from my father-in-law, D. Reynolds, and he didn't grow up a member of the church, and but he was into the young men's program. They had kind of grabbed him in because he was a good athlete, so they used him for sports teams.
Right, we need him for the team.
Right. And so this young men's advisor would take him camping every Friday. So the boys would go, no matter what, like clockwork, go camp. He loved to camp.
Right.
So camp and fish. And so the man had passed away, his former leader. So he was in Phoenix, went to Phoenix for his funeral for this priest advisor who had been so influential. Now my father-in-law's been a priest advisor for I think 30 years straight.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
that's a long time.
Yeah. It's the calling you want to have in this church. But anyway,
yeah.
And so he went to the funeral and he went to his advisor's wife and just said, "Hey, I just want to tell you how sorry I am and how impactful he was in my life." And I just remember how much he loved to camp. And she said, "Oh, D, he hated to camp." But how great is that story?
That's amazing.
Because he knew he could reach the boys that way.
Yes.
And you think like, okay, I'm a dad. I need to, and I got 3 daughters. Okay, I got to do dad things with daughters.
Right.
Like I need to have Taylor Swift on my phone.
Absolutely.
I have to know her song. I have to know that she's dropping a new album at midnight. I have to know that because I need to meet them where they are.
Yes.
I can't have them meet them where I am.
I love that.
And so, and this priest advisor probably had a pretty good indication of the impact he was having, but maybe he didn't know. Like, did he really know he was going to transform this guy's life?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And did my father-in-law ever tell him before he died? I don't know. I hope so. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But man, I just love the notion of him saying, no, he hated camping.
Wow.
Love that, right?
That's a great story.
Meet them where they are.
It gives me chills.
Yeah, love that.
That's beautiful. Well, again, there's so much I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about your faith for a minute. You're a man of God. You're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And when you, I guess, converted, if that's the word.
That's the word.
You sent a text to your family and friends, and you just said, "I believe."
I had a Bitmoji. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
It's a Bitmoji. It said that I believe, and it had the
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I know this is a big question too, but I would love to hear just a little bit how that came to pass, if you don't mind sharing a little bit around it. I know that's probably a sacred thing as well.
No. I have decided a long time ago. Well, let me give you a story on the other side. So,
please, yeah.
I was at a New Jersey Devils hockey game, and my daughters went to go see the piano guys. Do you know who they are?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dueling piano guys.
They're amazing.
So they were at it's this cool performing arts center called NJ Pack, and it's 2 miles from the Prudential Center where the Devils play. And so my daughters went there, and I was going to come pick them up. And so after the concert was going later in the game. So I got there, and I see this brother and I'd been going to church for 20 years, so I knew, we've moved a lot, so it's been 6-7 wards. So I know a lot of people in around the Northeast. Okay. Yeah. And he said to me, "I read your article in the paper. Of course you would publicize it." Right?
Really? That's
so that didn't make me feel good. Okay.
No,
so much so that I'm actually bringing it up now, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So because I made a decision when I did it that I have this job that's a high profile job.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it.
Yep.
Okay. Whether I do it well or not, history will tell. But you know what? I have a platform, and I have a big bullhorn, and I'm just hoping you know what?
Yeah.
And I'm not on this podcast because I'm really funny or charming, And I know that. I appreciate kind of what the platform has. And I decided man, maybe I could do a little bit of good for the church. I can't do what stake presidents do or area authorities do or incredible mission presidents do. I know the impact they have on people. My impact's going to be different. But I want to humanize the church a little bit. Yeah. I want to bring the church into the mainstream a little bit. I would like to have people look out and say, right. Yeah, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Right. He's a member.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe the missionaries, use me locally a little bit, and they do,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah.
But so that's the good news is I love to talk about it because going back to the core of like, if you can help some person make a decision or rethink it or think through differently or find that connection with Heavenly Father or find some kind of strength and faith.
I love that.
I'd love to do it. So
Yeah.
so long intro.
Beautiful.
So generally, I've been, Lisa and I fell in love with her. I mean, I was 23. She was 22.
Really? Yeah.
So she had to go finish back up at BYU. We were at the Nets. I was a marketing assistant, and she was an intern. And we fell madly in love and eventually got engaged. When she moved back to work for the NBA league office, and she said, hey, here's some things that are really important to me. And I said, hey, here's some things that are really important to me. And so when you don't have any money, that's like our version of a prenup,
right.
I think. So
that's great.
Yeah. No. She out-earned me until she retired with Alexis. So she had a good, successful career going.
That's funny.
So, and one of the things that was important to her was like, I want to raise our children in the church. And I said, that sounds great. And I said, and I pledged, she didn't ask, I pledged, I said, I will be fully supportive and I'll go to church with you every week. So for 20 some odd years, 21 years,
really? Wow.
I went to church with her every week. And our first, I always tease her about this, but the first time she took me to church when we were dating, we went to a Spanish-speaking ward in Jersey City, New Jersey, and neither of us speak Spanish, so it became a little challenging. And we went back twice, which is even better. Funny.
Really? Yeah.
Until we found an English-speaking ward in the area. But
oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I was, I had assignments over the years, like and we lived in some areas where there weren't a lot of members, so there were branches. Yeah. So remember this one branch, we had a bishop who was 23, medical school student in Philadelphia, tough part of town, and he's like, "Can you teach?" I was like, "Bishop, I'll do anything for you, but I'm not even a member of this church." He's like, "Scott, I need to help." That's kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was a scout leader once, and I don't camp or scout. I don't know anything about it. I was actually had a stake assignment, and when you're not a member, you actually get assignments, not callings. So I was evolving around and engaged, and we were very active, having young girls.
Right. Sure.
And so it's pretty fun. So I loved the community. And I had some questions and issues, and every I don't know, I mean, probably 6 times in my life, I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. And then something would happen. And from the pulpit, they'll tell you that's the adversary working against you. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's not for me to say. But for me, it was like, I have some specific examples that I probably shouldn't share, but I'm going to, because I can't help myself.
Yeah, thank you. No,
but I remember I was ready. I was just at the point where I was just ready to go. And I went to church and I said, you know what? I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to lean in. It was fast and testimony meeting, which on the East Coast is a little different from those in Utah.
I can imagine, yeah.
And this woman got up and she made a joke about the Pope. And I was born Catholic and raised Catholic. And she did it in an Italian accent, and I'm half Italian. Okay. And so I got up and just walked out and left.
Really?
And I was like, okay, that's my message. Like, this is not for me. Like, I don't want to do this. It's too insular. I see the world really differently.
Right.
And so that's just like ego screaming, that has nothing to do with self-actualization or true faith. And so it's silly to think about now. And then I had just come off, Lisa usually comes out to Utah for the summers. And so it usually puts me on edge because I'm flying back and forth to see her and the girls. Yeah. And it was summer league. So I went to Vegas, Utah, LA, Miami, New York. It was I was ping-ponging around the country. Everywhere. And I was worn out. Man, I bet. And I got home and I was by myself at home and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to do it. So I called my home teacher at the time. I do miss the home teaching program, by the way. Yeah. I really do. Yeah. And his name is President Clark Maxwell, and he was a good friend. I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? He's like, whatever you're doing. I'm like, how about dinner? Because I thought his wife was out of town. It ended up she wasn't. And so we went to this little Mexican place that we loved, and we sit down, and I was like, I'm ready to get baptized. How does this thing happen? And he started cracking up.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah. And he's like, I was going to ask you tonight. I was like, all right. Well, I said, look, I've got a couple of requirements. One, I don't want this to be the scuttlebutt and the steak. So can we shut this down? I don't want, the wives chit-chatting and then my wife to hear, because she doesn't know. I don't want that.
Right. You don't want, exactly.
And he's in the state presidency. He's like, I can take care of that. Yeah. I said, okay. And I said, I want to do this quickly. I don't need the 1.0 version. I've been going to church for 20 years. I got this covered.
You know what's going on.
And he said, do you want assistant missionaries or brothers? I said, give me the elders. And he said, well, they're Spanish speaking. I was like, well, they speak English, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's do it. So we went 7 days in a row, and it was an unbelievable experience. The elders were incredible. And he was like literally sit over my shoulder. He was working in DC at the time, so he was like shuttling back and forth because he's like, I'm not leaving you alone with these two. It's pretty funny.
Right.
And then Lisa came home, and all right, let me share one question I asked. I asked him several questions.
Please,
I had some challenges with some of the church history and some of the church policy and some of the church positions they take on some pretty complex issues. And he said, Scott, and this is President Maxwell, Scott, they're all good questions. You know, he said, I really have no idea. He said, I don't know. He said, what I do know is that, he's like, do you have a testimony that Joseph Smith's a prophet? I said, yes, I do. Do you have a testimony in the Book of Mormon? I said, that's true. I said, yes, I do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ as Savior? I said, unquestionably, I do. And he said, well, everything else is kind of around the edges on that,
Yeah.
He said, like, the Lord works in different ways. We have a living prophet. And so things are evolving at the Lord's time, not our time.
Right.
And things are set in motion in a different ways than you might understand or pretend to comprehend. He said, and that's what I believe. And I said, I can get behind that. And then Lisa came home about 2 days later, and I brought her into a room, and we had this incredible moment together. And then we waited a couple days, just because I had to like clean up. There was some stuff I had to clean up, and which I did. And then we told our daughters the next 2 days after that. It was like some of those special. And then I spent a year doing everything you've done in the church, or not you, anything a lifelong member has done in church, I did in a year. And so it was just a spiritual high. Like,
I can imagine.
The Philly temple had just been built. So we went through all kind of everything in a year, which was incredible. Like even like the incredible experience of blessing and passing the sacrament, unbelievable experience. And then, getting the Melchizedek priesthood, and then going through the temple, and then getting sealed in the temple, getting my patriarchal blessing all in 1 year. So it was a spiritual year that I don't think any of us will ever forget. And since then it's been a journey, and like coming in as a new, it's different being there for 20 years and then being a member. It's a different experience. I still didn't understand the language. Like,
I bet.
I didn't understand the difference between, so I had to adjust the language a little bit just to understand what people were saying and all the acronyms and
for sure. I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
But it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey.
Wow.
And you have a similar journey.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I had, I wasn't raised LDS, and I had a pretty amazing conversion story that changed the whole trajectory of my life. That's why I'm sitting here with you today, honestly, and wouldn't trade it for anything. But it was a rough go in the beginning, but things turned out, And
I'm sure people have heard it because I've heard it. So, but can you just give us 2 minutes on it? Like I know, just like I love the notion that you're kind of like overhearing sisters talk about fasting and prayer, because there's so much power in fasting and prayer, and it sounds so simple. It's what we learn, what our kids learn in primary, right, and it's somewhat circumstance. Like you were at kind of at the edge, at the brink.
Yep.
And
I was going to end my life.
Yeah,
actually,
you're at the brink. Yeah, and I mean, if you don't believe, like what just share quickly the story, because that's such a like a powerful testimony of Heavenly Father's hand of God, as President Eyring is fond of saying.
Yeah.
Because I think that's as good a hand of God moment as I've ever heard.
Yeah. I thank you, Scott. And it was one of those moments. I was done. I was in the height of my addiction, and I'm planning my suicide. I'm going to go home and do it. And I happened to stop at school first, almost to say goodbye to my friends almost. And I'm sitting at this table, and these two girls next to me were talking about fasting and prayer, and I just happened to overhear it. And for some reason, fasting and prayer just hit me right in the heart like nothing I've ever heard before. I didn't know what it was. I was like, what is that? Thought it was weird. And then I went up to these two girls after they got up to leave the table. I said, hey, were you guys just talking about fasting and prayer? And they're like looking at me like, well, why do you want to know? Because they knew where I was, you know. And I'm like, well, no, tell me, what is it? So they go on to explain, hey, in our religion, we fast once a month. We start with a prayer. We go the whole day without food and water. We end with a prayer. And in my head, I'm going, why would you do this? And I asked him, what's the point? And one of the girls just said, if you want help from God. And when she said that, see, I didn't grow up believing in God, but I didn't grow up believing not in God. I was just kind of agnostic. I was right in the middle.
Yep.
And when she said that, my mind went to, is there a God and would he help me? I told the girls thanks, walked away, and I thought, I'm going to do it. Next day, I got up, I fasted. It was the first time I hadn't done drugs and alcohol for the first part of the day for like the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I was really angry and cranky that day, ended with a prayer. And all I did was ask God, if you're there, I need help. That's all I did. And nothing happened. And I was really frustrated that night. You know, I thought, you know, hey, if God's really going to show up
Where's the
here,
lightning bolt?
Where is it? Where's the light? Where's this? Nothing happened. I was still having thoughts of suicide going back and forth. I was still getting wasted every day. And then I get a phone call from a friend of mine who I played basketball. His name's Rich Saunders, an amazing man. And he's been my mentor since then. And he called me up, calls me over. I mean, I'm going through this quickly. And he sits me down. He goes, hey, Todd, I didn't go to work today because I have to share a message with you. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, and I hadn't talked to him since high school. This has been several years after high school. And he goes, you can tell he's nervous. And he goes, hey, the Lord came to me last night and says, we need you on our side today. And right when he said that, Scott, I knew that was the answer to the fast and prayer. You know how your mind rewinds? I went back to where I was in this closet asking God for help. And I tell Rich this, and he gets in my face and goes, this is your help. And I'll tell you, and there's so much more to the story. There's a lemonade stand story. It's powerful. But that's when everything in my life started to change. And, you know, I look back on that and go, I can't believe that happened.
Right. And what if you didn't take the prompting and talk to the missionaries or the sisters?
Yeah.
What if Rich didn't take the prompting and come see you and take a day off of work? Because it's hard to take a day off of work, right?
Yeah. You
got to call your boss. It's a pain in the butt. You're driving. You're not sure what you're going to do. You're uncertain. You're not sure really listen to the message. But he has that prompting and he does it. It's like, why aren't we doing that more?
Yeah.
Why aren't we just acting when we get the prompting?
That's why I love what you're doing. Hey, text your mom, and whatever picture shows up on your phone that day, I'm texting him, telling him hello, tell him I love him. I love that. And you're right. Why don't we do that more often? And I'm guilty of it too. I'll have a prompting. I'm busy. And then I get going in different directions. Like, why didn't I act on that when I felt it?
Especially the one-touch stuff, which we can just do.
It takes
Pick up the phone and call somebody.
30 seconds.
Yes.
30 seconds.
And it's like, maybe, you know, if we all just put a little more goodness into the world, just a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe if we all just reached out one more time. Or, I mean, you're dealing with some hard issues with some folks who are struggling with some real things.
Yeah.
And maybe one of them just needs a hug.
Need a hug. Yep.
From you.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, Scott. Man, there's so much more we could talk about. You've shared so many great things so far. I mean, I know you have. We could go on all day. But I want to ask you this, and you've already shared some amazing things. What if there's one person right now listening to you who is in that dark spot, who is scared, doesn't know what to do, maybe even thinking of ending their life? What would you tell them right now, Scott?
I think I'd tell them to call you, but after that...
Okay, give me a call.
Yeah,
but yeah.
No, after I told them to call you, I would say that that's going to be okay. And then I think I would say that everybody has a purpose. And I would also say that God loves you. And I think those are my three messages that I would stick. Is that it's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. You just gotta survive in advance right now.
Wow. beautiful. I couldn't agree more. Purpose, God loves you, and it's going to be okay. That is a simple yet powerful message. You're a great man, Scott, and I'm so honored to be sitting across from you right now in person.
I feel the same.
You know?
Thank you. Thanks for this platform. Thank you for the incredible work you're doing. I appreciate how you are giving of yourself and all your talents to make it okay for a lot of people.
Thank you.
That's a true purpose.
Thank you. Well, I feel the same way about you and all the great things that you're doing. And yes, we can read your bio, and it's impressive. It is. It's impressive. But more important than that, you're just a better man than all of that. Just you as a person, you're a better man than all that great stuff that we can read off and what have you. And you're a great husband and a great father and a great friend and a great member of your faith that you really are passionate about and love. And that's the stuff that matters.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope to be on for your 400th.
Yes.
I want to come back.
All right.
Do you ever have repeat customers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few people on a couple times, so I'm gonna mark him down. 400th episode, Scott will be back. He'll be doing this again. But so quickly, well, not quickly, but just your book's coming out in June 1st. What's the best way for someone to get that book, and then maybe if they want to see what you're doing, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. So the best way to buy the book is probably easiest on Amazon.
Okay.
But here's my request.
All right.
My request is that you reach out to whatever small business bookstore is in your neighborhood, because small business has been slaughtered during COVID,
boy,
and they need us. They need
Yeah.
you. And so while Walmart and Amazon are incredible outlets, if you can reach out to your local bookstore and buy this book there online or in person, that would be helpful as well. But thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm excited for that. It's going to help a lot of people. You're a man of principle. You live by true principles, and that's what this book's all about. And you simplify it in such a way, and you bring your own personal life into it. Like you said, that love letter to your daughter. I don't know. I'm just so impressed. I've written down so many things here that I'm going to do based on what you're doing. And you really do make me want to be a better person. And I know those that are listening to this right now are going to feel the same way.
Well, that's why they keep coming listening to you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, there you go, folks. Scott O'Neill, Chief Executive Officer of the Philadelphia 76ers and many other organizations underneath that. He's part of a big group there. But like I said, more importantly, he's a faithful member of his church. He's a faithful husband and father, and more importantly, a friend, all of that stuff. He's just an amazing guy. Thank you for tuning in. Again, thanks to my sponsors. You guys are amazing. And again, everyone who keeps tuning in week after week after week, I can't believe it. I pinch myself too that I get to do this and I get to sit across amazing people. So guys, I love you. Scott, thank you so much. Tell your family hello. I love you guys. All the best to you. And I can't wait to keep watching all the success that you're doing and following you throughout the next little while.
Thank you again.
You bet. Okay, there you go, guys. Thank you so much. Till next time.